There was one day there where it was very close, and I would have been disappointed had they chose not to go forward. But I'm very happy they chose to. I think that the partners feel like they've gotten some of the protections they needed um, to go forward. I think all of us are frustrated with the delays, but I think it would have been hard to predict it in the beginning that a 100-year-old contractor, Westinghouse, would go bankrupt. And so there were definitely some growing pains associated with it. But we're two-thirds of the way through, the light at the end of the tunnel. As you well know, here in Augusta, we've got, 6,000 jobs out there right now, or approximately. That changes. A lot of skilled labor working very hard on the plant. And I think what to keep in mind when you're looking at these things, I mean, Plant Vogtle, you've got to have a backbone to this generation grid. And I really don't think coal, at least new coal, is a viable option anymore. And so you need nuclear there as a clean, carbon-free source of energy. They're done with most of the heavy construction now. I mean, they're really getting into starting to lay the wires and electronics and the software and that type of stuff. So that's exciting. I was just out there about a month ago. And I'm optimistic about it. I do think they've turned a corner. When I'm there and we talk about metrics, they seem to be on the revised schedule, on target with the revised schedule, which is a good thing. But there's always a concern in the back of your mind that there will be more overruns. And we're going to have to, I mean, that's our role to commission, at least in dealing with Georgia Power, to look at those overruns with a lot of scrutiny. I mean, the last set of overruns, at least Georgia Power's share, and what really sparked the last debate with the partners was Georgia Power's share was $700 million, and the shareholders ended up eating all of that. The ratepayers got hit with none of it. So I think another thing to keep in mind is that the average bill, I don't think this gets enough attention either. The average bill for a 1,000 kilowatt customer over the last 7 years hasn't gone up one dime. And you say, well, you wonder how can that be with these nuclear fees built into it and everything? Well, what it comes back to my diversity argument. We've made investments in natural gas. Natural gas prices are now low. Been able to take advantage of that, and that's offset, that decrease has offset the other increases. And so, a lot of folks like to dwell on certain line items on the bill. Overall bill has not changed.
They dwell on the recovery fee part of it.
Yes. They say, well, we've paid this much for the fee, and there's no question that's something to look at. But I think it's unfair to just dwell on that and not look at other line items such as fuel costs that have dropped dramatically due to our investments in natural gas.
Well, to those consumers, what when you're approached with that kind of scenario, what's your explanation to them?
What I would tell that consumer is, again, I'm frustrated with the overruns, but there are no easy solutions when it comes to providing cost competitive electricity. And so each kind has pros and cons. And you take Vogtle, you take the first two Vogtles. When those were built or were being built, they were 10 times over budget. And they were considered very controversial at the time. There was many calls to shut them down. But fortunately, the leadership at that moment had the fortitude to go forward, and now with, 30 years history now on them, the benefit of hindsight, those two plants are the crown jewels in our fleet, and they provide stability, and they provide cost competitive rates, and they've allowed us, it's the backbone for our grid, they've allowed us to attract manufacturing businesses all over the state. I mean, we've grown jobs under Governor Deal now, 700,000 new jobs in these manufacturers have consulting companies, site consulting companies that come out and they evaluate states and areas in states, and utilities are one of the main things they look at. And they want reliability and cost competitive electricity. So what I would say to that person is to keep in mind, these are 60 to 80 year decisions that we're making. And so yes, it's frustrating right now, but we need to have some perspective on it. And I'm confident 30 years down the road, we're going to be happy that we built Vogtle 3 and 4.